Yes, good evening. This is Professor Shrabi Karat from Bhavans College, Andheri. Today I am going to discuss the very important concept of history of modern India, especially in the syllabus of first year BA. There are several topics which are covered. Amongst them, these are some topics. In these topics, the first concept is written here as Revolt of 1857's causes and consequences. Now, let us understand the revolt. What is the meaning of revolt? And especially in the history of modern India, why revolt is very, very important. Why it shook the very powerful East India Company, and what are the kind of changes which were made by British rule. Now, whenever we discuss about the revolt of 1857, when it started, the modern Indian age, modern Indian history's age, there are various causes which are involved for the 1857 revolt. It is known as one of the important landmark in the history of modern India. Why it is referred as one of the important landmark? Because it actually changed the momentum of the British administration, the policies, the various adaptable conditions which were ignored by Britishers. Now they are going to reconstruct. Now they are going to restructure that administration, and henceforth 1857 is very much important landmark. Now for that purpose, 1857 revolt, which were appeared from May till July of 1859, and henceforth the revolt, which was started initially as mutiny of sepoy, it later on spread all across the India, especially the parts of Gangetic Valley were very much involved in this. But as it is started from the northern part of India, it slowly and gradually spread across the Uttar Pradesh, then Madhya Pradesh, and slowly and gradually Delhi, and it has reached to Satara, Sambalpur of Maharashtra. So henceforth, these regions of India are especially entitled with the revolt of 1857. Now, this revolt is majorly known as the Great Revolt of 1857, then the First War of Independence, then it is also called as the Sepoy Mutiny, also it is called as the Rebellion, and the Indian Insurrection. Etc. There are various views which are observed by various historians, and henceforth the 1857 revolt, it has become very remarkable situation of India, and slowly and gradually this revolt of 1857, which was started in 1857, has great history apart. When Britishers established their power in India in 1757 after Battle of Plassey, they emerged as traders. But slowly and gradually, they thought that the British rulers, now in north there were Rajputs, then there were Scindias, in south Deccan it was Marathas, Peshwas, various powers. In Hyderabad there were Nizams, and in south there were Mysore, Tipu Sultan and all, and in the Bengal region there were Nawabs. So these rulers, Nawabs, Peshwas, Nizams, Mughal, Mughals, they were very weak rulers that time, and henceforth Britishers got an opportunity to take a decision to become ruler of this suffering India. Now, with the help of their pure mercantile behavior, Britishers adapted that situation, and their adaptability to overcome the situation of tradership and becoming emperor of distributed or ununited India, they started ruling their own policies. Their policies especially includes Lord Wellesley's policy of subsidiary alliance. Now, what is the meaning of subsidiary alliance? Let's say now this is particular state, princely state. In this princely state, this is the treasure of a state. Now king have all his kingship, and these are the borders. Now these are the rival states. Lord Wellesley offered the policy of subsidiary alliance. He said to the king that we will be able to protect your treasure as well as all your state by keeping our army, East India Company's army, across the state, and we shall protect from the neighboring states which are rivals. And if we will be able to protect from these neighboring states, the entire cost and expenditure and the management or the infrastructure or what we call as the resource can be handled by this treasure. Okay, so this treasure can be utilized for maintaining the cost and expenditure of this army, British East India Army. So if this treasure can help this army will be able to protect this people, local people or the state. And henceforth this policy was popularly known as the subsidiary alliance. Let me tell you, with the help of this subsidiary alliance, various states, okay, such as Satara, Sambalpur, some states of MP, some states of UP, some states of Bengal, they were totally came under the direct influence of British East India Company. Now they don't have any other option as such. After that, there were other political reasons, such as especially in the political causes of 1857 revolts. The first cause can be counted as conquest and annexations. Now, what do you mean by conquest? The direct attack of British East India Company towards European powers as well as the Indian powers, and they win over those within that war, and Indian powers lose, and slowly and gradually they take the charge of particular territory. Now, what is the meaning of annexation? Now, this policy can be understood with the help of different ideologies. Amongst them, Sindh, Punjab, Oudh, then Burma, and Kuru. Now these states were annexed directly by the British East India Company. The reason was maybe the mismanagement of the government, maybe the livelihood which they were actually deserving and they were not getting that, and henceforth these territories were annexed by British East India Company, and forcefulness of British East India Company was came to an end when a powerful leader has adopted the policy of lapse. Now, the second reason is policy of lapse introduced by Dalhousie. Now, Dalhousie was a very cruel ruler, Governor General of British East India Company, who applied his doctrine of lapse policy. And in this doctrine of lapse policy, he said there are some reasons such as measures he showed for lack of sensitivity of British towards East ancient right of adoption of the Hindus. Now, if suppose a king, an Indian king, do not have any what we say, any son or his next ruler, then he have to adopt the child, a male child. Now, Indian patriarchal system accepts the male child. Now, here in India, Dalhousie denied this adoption right of especially Hindus, and he said that the king who do not have his own child to rule the next future of his region or state, that state shall be directly can be annexed, or that particular territory shall be taken over by East India Company. Now, how many states were actually taken over? Amongst them, especially, it was Satara, then Jaipur, then Sambalpur, Bhagat, and Udaipur, Jhansi, and Nagpur. Among them, you can see Jhansi is one of the very remarkable state where Queen Lakshmi Bai, she fought against the Britishers very bravely. Now, the next very much important reason is annexation of Oudh. What happened with the Oudh? In Oudh, Lord Dalhousie annexed the kingdom of Oudh in 1856, and on the pretext of mismanagement. He said that even if there is no case of adoption right, in Oudh there is mismanagement happening in the administration of Wajid Ali Shah, and henceforth this Nawab of Oudh, since then under the influence of Warren Hastings, said that I will be allowed to make allies, and this Nawab of Oudh shall willfully come under the direct influence of Warren Hastings, and Oudh will be directly annexed. And henceforth, this was a very shaky situation for all rulers of India, that the Oudh was annexed, and they all were very threatened by this event of Oudh, and henceforth there are various reasons involved to annex the next territories also. Slowly and gradually, that humiliation has reached to Mughal Darbar. Now, the last king of Mughal dynasty was Bahadur Shah, and that Bahadur Shah was actually wanted to regain his establishment over the entire rule of Mughal Empire to be spread all over the India. 1857 revolt actually shook the British territory, and it actually declared Bahadur Shah as the only emperor of India. And in the Red Fort, when it is said that 1857 was very much in full swing. It is said that Bahadur Shah was captured by Britishers and in the Red Fort, and he was abandoned for getting the title of Mughal emperorship, as well as his pensions were denied, and his son and grandson was killed, and Bahadur Shah was sent he was abandoned and he was sent to the exile, where he died. So he was the last emperor who actually made the he was made the king of India by Nana Sahib Peshwa and Tatya Tope. But slowly and gradually it is said that the Bahadur Shah was the last emperor who actually ruled, but slowly and gradually when 1857 revolt was totally recaptured and defeated by Britishers, Bahadur Shah has to go into exile. Now another reason, political reason, was reduction or suspension of the pension. Now Britishers were those rulers who asked Indian rulers to rule there, okay, but Indian rulers shall not be more than puppet in the hands of Britishers. So they have to accept their suzerainty, and they have to accept the overlordship of British East India Company. And henceforth, this overlordship of British East India Company was challenged by many of the adopted childs, such as ex-Peshwa Bajirao's adopted son Nana Sahib and other rulers. And as soon as this pension was ignored or it was denied by Britishers, the princely states, the kings of princely states actually started revolting. So these many peoples were actually involved in this. Another reason for, now political reasons are over, we'll discuss about the administrative causes. The first cause was difficult to adjust into new administrative system. I'll give you an example. For example, in Maratha territory, it was the Persian language which was used as an administrative language. There were some traditional systems which were adopted. Every system was actually cancelled and new British system was adopted. Now, Indian rulers were actually not very much eased to get this administrative system to be adopted into their system, and henceforth they revolted. The next cause is loss of benefits and privileges. As British rulers, British Governor General, as well as those who fought for the British laissez-faire policy, and they extended their imperialism in India as well as the other states of Asia, they wanted to get benefits, and henceforth they denied the benefits and privileges of Indian rulers. And henceforth these princely states, they got a lot of interest of classes and individuals and enjoyed a lot of their time with their traditional administrative system. But this was challenged by Britishers, and henceforth this rent-free lands of Indian temples, masjids and religious places were actually rent free. Now it is totally cancelled by Britishers. The taxes which were appeared in the medieval age, those taxes were now reframed by Britishers, and henceforth the titles such as Raja, Maharaja, Maharaja Diraj, Raja Diraj, then Samrat, these titles which has a lot of privilege, those privileges titles were cancelled, and henceforth these rulers and individuals of under the influence of East India Company, they got a lot of discontent, and they wanted just a single chance to fight back for their own benefits and privileges. So henceforth this is another reason where British East India Company was challenged by those princely states which wanted their own benefits and privileges to get back. Now, rule of law. Britishers adopted the new rule of law policy. In this rule of law policy, it was a desirable practice. Now somebody has to imply some principles of equality in the eyes of law, irrespective of high and low and rich and poor and weak and strong, but it was not followed. So Britishers asked for something very equality, but they were not ready to apply into the actual rule of law, and henceforth the justice was denied. Most of the times the justice was separate for European people and separate for Indian people, and henceforth this rule of law policy of British administration was actually challenged by the rebellions. Another very important reason is unpopular features of British administration. Now, which were unpopular features of British administration? Especially, there were unpopular features of British administration, especially the people who actually had grievances, and personally they wanted to talk to the British people, but British people doesn't wanted to give their feedbacks for their own news systems, and henceforth the functionality and mechanism of their particular rule was not appropriate for British for Indian people, and henceforth English laws were quite